Shriners Hospitals helped the Grossis see the vision for their son's future. But for Ralph and Pam Howard, the question was whether their children would have a future at all. Ralph and Pam Howard met and married late in life and knew they wanted to start a family right away.
I don't think Ralph's dad thought that Ralph would ever get married and have a family, And he kind of laughed and said, "Hope you have twins."
I don't know, probably about 2 months into the pregnancy, she starts wearing maternity clothes.
It's my third month that we found out that I was having twins. We had an ultrasound and I called him.
She said, "Are you sitting down?" And I asked her, we having more than two?
It was the neatest thing to find out that we were having twins.
But the new parents soon discovered that raising twins can be a challenge.
It's due to the fact that I was not used to having one child. I've never changed a diaper in my life. And I was changing two at a time, feeding two at a time.
I remember when they first started to crawl or walk, if one would go one way, the other one was right behind them. And it was usually Shanna leading and Brian following,
The twins were inseparable, a fact that would prove tragic one fateful day when they were 2 years old.
March the 31st is a day I'll never forget.
Went over and dropped them off at my sister-in-law's.
Later that morning, Ralph received an urgent call from a neighbor with news a parent never wants to hear.
And she told me there's been a terrible accident, there's been a fire, and your children were involved in this fire.
What it actually was they had a gas in their basement, and the fumes from the gasoline can exploded the hot water tank. There was a pilot on the hot water tank, and that exploded.
The Howards rushed to a nearby hospital where their children were in critical condition.
When they finally let Ralph and I go back to see them, their faces didn't even look like a face.
I thought we was going to lose them.
It was really hard. You don't want anybody to ever have to go through that.
The Howards faced the reality that their babies might not survive.
They were like Mr. and Mrs. Howard. We're trying to do everything we can to keep them stable and to keep them comfortable. But they're in critical condition, and we don't know if we're even going to have them.
Minute by minute, hour by hour, Shanna and Brian clung to life.
You just try to take one day at a time.
Things are going 100 miles an hour. And the only thing I could think of was I need to make all the right decisions.
After nearly a month, it seemed the twins would survive.
They're doing real good. Every day they're doing better.
But the Howards were haunted by doubts of what could be done for their severe burn injuries.
They were out of the woods. We knew they were going to survive. And to me personally, it was now we need to start getting busy. And nothing was happening. And I started getting the feeling that they were overwhelmed with the severity of the burns.
But in their darkest hour, a ray of hope came into their lives.
A gentleman came up to me. He says, "I'm here to help you." He says, "I'm a Shriner. We have a hospital for burn children. We want your kids there. We want to help your kids. We want to help your family."
The Howards knew they needed the very best care available, and that care could be found at Shriners Hospitals for Children in Cincinnati.
When Shriners came to pick up the kids, they came in an ambulance, and they had a little pink blanket and a little blue blanket, and that made me feel better, when I seen that.
That was the first glimpse of the personal level of care their children would receive at Shriners.
We were there 4 hours. And in that 4 hours, the first 4 hours, everybody that needed to be involved with them children had seen them children. X-rays had been taken. Nutritionist was there. Chief of staff, the doctors, the attending physicians, the nurses. At the end of that 4 hours, and the game plan had already been established of what was going to happen. And we was told that it's going to start in the morning.
And then I knew that we were going to be all right, and the kids were going to be fine.
That initial game plan became a plan for life.
They'll be taken care of for surgeries, whatever they need for their surgeries, until they were 21. It'll be at no cost. I'm thinking these kids are 2 years old. That's a long time.
The twins began receiving skin grafts and reconstructive surgery. They were fitted with face masks and pressure garments to reduce scarring. Brian eventually had his ear reconstructed and benefited from a scalp expansion technique.
I lost almost all my hair when I was burnt in the house fire. And I just had like one patch of hair. It was like right here. And they put a scalp expander in my head, which expanded like a big saline balloon in my head and stretched my skin out and everything. And they like took it out and then stretched hair. And so now I have a full head of hair.
And over the years, additional surgery, rehabilitation, and psychological therapy prepared them for life.
I think that being burnt actually, like since I've lost my fingers and since I've kind of looked different, I think it's kind of made me a stronger person for what I've been through. It shows me that whatever happens to you in life, you can kind of get over it.
They have made it easier for me to have relationships with people and to get closer to people. And not only because they were that way with me when I was younger, but because they do awesome work.
Today, 16 years later, each time the twins return to the hospital, they are welcomed back like a member of the family.
Hi.
They've been spoiled rotten. And they've spoiled us too by being such great kids and come back and given the nurses hugs and seeing the people who cared for them originally and throughout their course of reconstruction, rehabilitation. It's a wonderful thing that we've given them. Likewise, they've given us something just as wonderful in return.
Well, when I walk into Shriners, it is not like I am walking into a hospital. It's kind of like I'm walking into a family reunion.
Every time you go there, they do the best they can to make you feel as welcome as they can. Anybody from the cooks to the chief of staff, everyone there, they're all friendly and nice, and they want to know you on a personal basis as well as a professional basis.
The way that the nurses interact with you like you're no different than anybody else, it kind of makes me feel that way from everybody. We're all equal, we're all the same.
The care that Shriners provides reaches beyond the hospital walls.
Shriners played a big part in their self-image of trying to make them feel good about themselves. They have something called a burn camp in summer.
It's just kind of like heartwarming to think, you know, that all these people have been through the same thing and they're there for one purpose, and that's just to have fun.
When they come back, you can just see the difference the first time they went, when they came back, of what they felt about themselves, and you know, it just builds them up.
Like, it was just a really good experience, and I fell in love with it. And every summer, right after we got out of school, I just could not wait to go to camp.
Camp has had such a positive impact on the twins that this year they'll be returning for the first time as junior counselors.
This is a real important thing to me because since I've been going to camp, me and my brother have really been like, oh wow, let's do that when we get older.
I've been wanting to be one since I was like the first year. I remember coming home telling my dad, I want to be a junior counselor, and I couldn't do it because I was too young.
Once we got older, the little kids looked up to us and stuff, and it made you feel kind of good.
Feeling good about themselves has helped Shanna and Brian approach life with confidence.
To dream the impossible dream.
At a young age, Brian was drawn to the spotlight of the stage.
He's an incredibly talented kid. He's got an amazing voice, which has only improved in the 2 years that I've known him, and he has been incredibly successful at solo competitions that are held in conjunction with show choir competitions. He won one, got grand champion out of all the other soloists. He's always come in the top 5 or top 3. I mean, he's just been incredibly successful. He's just a fantastic singer-dancer, and he's a real leader. The kids really look up to him.
I let you go, I let you fly.
He's very happy doing it. It's just something that it's in his heart. It's something he loves.
On asking why.
Shriners Hospitals have helped Brian and Shanna pursue the things they love and lead happy, productive lives. What that has meant to them is evident in Shanna's choice of subject matter for her senior project.
Shriners has given me the chance to have a life, to be normal, to get to participate in sports when I was younger,
When Shanna came to me and said, Mom, we have to do a senior project, and I would like to do it on Shriners Hospitals, I knew she'd do real good at it. But all that she's been through.
I thought it'd be kind of cool to get it out there, let their story be known, you know, to a younger generation, to maybe for the rest of their lives they won't forget that, maybe, you know.
And I said, you have to do it because it's something that's been a part of your life and our lives.
Some of these kids don't have a nose, and they don't have ears, they don't have a face, and they still go through, they go through their day, they keep their head up high. I mean, it takes a strong person to be able to do that. It really does.
Having a moment like that with Shanna's presentation, it's true for a lot of talks that you hear from the kids where they've really put a lot of themselves into it. Those are teaching moments, you know. A lot of learning goes on and a lot of inspiration too. Fantastic. We love you. That was great. Round of applause for
Thank you.
As Shanna and Brian graduate and prepare to go off to college, the impact Shriners Hospitals has had on this family is something they'll carry with them throughout their lives.
If my parents wouldn't have heard about Shriners Hospital, I don't know if I'd be here today. Shriners Hospital basically saved my life when I was little.
You've given me a life. Without you, I have no idea where I would be right now.
They're there to help children, and that's what they do. And as they're helping children, they heal parents. I know I wasn't feeling very doggone good when I walked in there. They lifted a big burden off me in many, many different ways, which is a part of my healing, which made me survive, which made me be able to carry on and do what I needed to do, along with my wife, to take care of my kids.
I know they say kids are what parents teach them, but my kids have been taught so much by different people at Shriners, with just the kind of people that work there and the experiences they've had with them. They've done so much for them in their lives that we could never repay them, ever.
To reach the unreachable star.